All right, and we are live. Welcome to the BrainDrive weekly development call live stream update. We do these calls every Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern time, live streamed here on YouTube, and then post the recordings over on our forum. BrainDrive is an MIT licensed open source personal AI system designed around helping you define and reach your goals across any area of your life. Our mission here is to build a superior user owned alternative to big tech AI systems. I'm Dave Waring, and I handle the operations side here at BrainDrive.
And I'm Dave Jones, and I handle the technical operations side here.
Great. So let me just show you quickly what BrainDrive is before we jump into the dev call. This is a Mac application, and we also have a Windows app now that you download and run on your desktop. And we also have a dev version and Docker version that you can run on any operating system, including Linux. And when you come into your main assistant page, which is designed to help you across any area of your life, and you click into these default areas that we have for you or set up your own new area where you would like to make progress on, and you kick off an interview process that works exactly the same way that it might work if you sat down with a world-class coach. First, they're going to see, do I know anything about this person? If not, great, we're starting from scratch. Let's jump in and really define what success looks like for you, like for your career specifically. So not generic advice, but working with you and interviewing you to determine where are you at currently, where do you want to be, and how do you define that. That works really well without AI, but when you pair that process with an AI, that's magic, because now the AI has everything it needs to work with you to successfully create a plan for reaching those goals, and then to continuously keep that plan up to date and continuously work with you as a partner to define and reach your goals. And the more you use your BrainDrive, the better it gets to know you and the more helpful it becomes. And because you own your BrainDrive and all of this lives on your computer, that power compounds for you instead of a big tech company. So with that, I'll kick it over to Dave to give us the tech update from last week.
Let's go. Well, we didn't do, I would say we didn't do much. No changes were in the change log because we didn't redo the images or anything like that. Because we moved right into leveraging the finance side of things because, hey, that's where probably most people are going to start with right off the bat. So initially we have our personality, Katie, and we went with that. And Dave supplied some of his own documents to facilitate for the financial side. And we were able to test out the first part of uploading the documentation. Pretty boring, but we had to accomplish that step. But then came I'll call it the meat and potato side of this. Could the AI go through the entire documentation with a discussion with Katie and come out with a budget based on what she wanted to accomplish?
Right. So Katie Carter, this is
Yep.
our persona, and Katie is someone that's non-technical but is excited about AI and wants to use it to, bring power to her life. And one of our default areas that we start with is finance
Yep.
and helping you spec out and create a plan for improving your finances. And obviously, one of the first steps in that is creating a budget.
Yep.
So Dave's been working on, okay, how do we do that? And one of the big things that we need to be able to do in order to be able to do that is we need to be able to upload documents like
Yep.
statements, et cetera. And then so Katie can work with her BrainDrive to put together that budget and then to check in on that budget, at the end of the month and say, how did I do, basically? So this is really cool because it's going to allow us to replace all these different apps that we
Yep.
have, which, number one, who wants to go to like 18 different apps? And then number two, when you're using all these different apps, like you have a budgeting app, you have a relationship app, you have a career app, you have all that, those apps aren't benefiting from the knowledge that's building up. They're siloed. So if you're able to replace those apps with your BrainDrive, not only can you go to one place now instead of dozens for these different
Yep.
apps eventually, but every time you add a new use case into your BrainDrive, whether it be relationships, whether it be career, whether it be a new project, it's going to be benefiting from all of that context that you've generated across your other sessions with your BrainDrive. So that's what we're talking about here, and getting that budgeting to work. And another thing that I just want to comment on about this is, from a developer side, we can afford to spend a little time on, like, if this is just like a one-off
Hmm.
feature and like we're not going to use it for anything else, like, okay, we spent a week, we didn't get anything into the
Yeah.
change log, like that sucks,
Yeah.
right? But that's not the types of things we're choosing now for our roadmap. The types of things Dave and I are choosing for our roadmap are the types of things that are going to be valuable for any use case, right?
Yep.
So you're going to want to be able to upload
Upload.
documents and have those documents parsed for every area of your life within your brain drive or whatever projects you're working on.
Yeah.
So it's worth spending some time to get that document processing side right. So why don't we start there, Dave? Like,
Yep.
how did you go about that? What progress was made? Where are we still hung up?
Well, you had when you did the front end work, and when you told me when I took over this side, they say it might be working, and so it really wasn't. The AI Claude put a
Right. So
little
we
stub.
had, when you say front end work, we had
Yeah.
to
Yep.
upload documents button there,
Yeah.
but it hadn't
It
been thoroughly
it was
tested.
very hollow.
Dave tested it. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what we were starting with.
Yeah, and we didn't want to get into, as you articulated last week when we talked, we didn't want to get into having this heavy processing sitting in the back end that we had to manage, upcode, and all like that. And let's see what the AI itself, the model, could take care of for us. And that
And
so far,
that, sorry to keep interrupting, but
yeah,
I want to just add additional
yeah,
color to each step. This is also like a philosophy with developing is, we're trying to, you know, make it really easy for you to own and control your own AI system.
yep,
And if we have this monster code base, you know what I mean? First of all, it's just me and Dave here. Like, that's going to be a lot to maintain, especially because I'm not a developer. But also it's going to be a lot for you as a BrainDrive owner to maintain.
yep,
So our philosophy is, whenever possible, let's not try and add intelligence into the code base. Let's try and leverage the intelligence of the model or models that are available to us to do the work.
yep,
So we did some research on Haiku 4.6, which is currently the model we're using within BrainDrive, and Dave found that it will do document processing, correct?
yep.
So
It's
we
just
don't need to put any additional code into the code base.
we had to just clean up the provider code to let it know that this model handles
Right.
images and streaming. Once
And
we
when you
told
say
it,
provider code, you're talking about the API, right? The
uh,
provider API, the
yeah,
model API.
yes, exactly.
Yep. So we have the model API, we
Yep,
have the four components and the two APIs that BrainDrive
yep,
is built on top of. The model API makes models external to your BrainDrive so you can swap in and out the intelligence,
yep,
upgrade at the speed of AI. And Dave needed to do a little code work there to make sure that this model API could handle the document processing capabilities that are offered to us via the model.
yep,
Yes.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Good. And that's
And
good and done, or there was problems there, or
no, that was pretty simple and clean. It was like just a matter of linking up Anthropic, Open Router, BrainDrive model, and making sure they could all see the same thing. They did. So all I had to do was put one uniform piece of code to say, "Hey, we're doing image streaming. This is how you're going to handle it," and it was done.
okay.
Everything, the lights came on immediately.
Okay. So basically, forgetting about budgeting for a second,
Yep,
if you're using BrainDrive model, which is right now Haiku 4.6,
yep,
you can process documents now
yep.
because,
No, yep,
okay.
you can. Yep.
Okay. So is there a reason not to go ahead and put that in?
Only because that whole code base right now is joined together. So you would get my prompts and everything for budgeting changes before you were even ready to see it yourself.
Okay. And in the future, might we develop this? So, like, okay,
We
yeah.
we could. However, my on this one, because I wanted to do a lot of testing, could you handle this document? Would you not
Right.
handle this one? Is there a size blow up? So there was a
Right.
lot of testing that needed to make sure that nothing half ass hit
Okay.
the
Because to
picture.
me, forgetting about even budgeting,
Yep.
just the ability to process documents within BrainDrive is like a huge
Yep.
deal.
But by the end of the week, we'll have this in because the test harness is where we're going to get to next to talk
Okay.
about.
All right. So, and now this, brings up some interesting variables, right?
Yep.
So, we want to make it possible to use BrainDrive with any external model. And
Yep.
right now we do that we make it easy for our Katie Carter persona by offering a BrainDrive model that we choose and we optimize for BrainDrive. You just pay for credits, and you're off and running, right? And
Yep.
that's a cloud-based AI model. Right now, it's Haiku 4.6. It may be something else in the future. If you choose BrainDrive models, you're relying on us to make the model choice for you. Then we have Open Router, which has like 400 cloud-based AI models. Basically, gives you access to any model you want on the cloud, right? And then we have Olama, which allows you to run models locally within your BrainDrive. And if you're thinking right now, why aren't you guys using Llama CPP? You're good enough. BrainDrive's MIT license.
Yep.
Please go add Llama CPP and you'll have it.
Exactly.
But the average person doesn't
Yeah.
even know what Llama CPP is. Okay. So, but now we're going to have this document processing
Yep.
button, and it's not going to work with certain models because they don't have that capability.
Correct. You have to have the vision capability in order for it to get an image come in and then translate that into text.
Do we know if there's like
There's a lot of these. In fact, almost every model coming out now out of any state of the art foundation, and in fact, even Quinn and such like that, they're vision models at their heart now. So almost everything that's been coming out the past 3 months has been a vision capable. And if you were Frontier, you could go back to like OpenAI's 4, and Anthropic. We're at 4. We're using Haiku 4.5. It's that dated, and it has vision
Oh,
capability.
okay. We aren't even using
Yeah,
4.6
yeah.
yet. Okay.
I was going to save that to the end, see because if somebody screamed out, "Hey, Dave said 4.6, we're using this."
Yeah,
No,
right. Okay. But this brings up some interesting, I do think, and this is just a parking lot thought just for the transcript and the AI to update our agenda with and stuff. I do think we're going to want to have we're going to want to have a model that we're tuning that's open source and that you can run on your own
Yep,
computer that does everything that BrainDrive does with Haiku,
yep,
and or hopefully eventually that BrainDrive model is an open source model that you can run if you
yep.
have the hardware to run it and blah blah blah. But we're early in this process, so let's keep the trains running.
Yeah. And like you said, going to that, we could actually branch this out at some time if we decided that we wanted to use one model for the main conversation because we liked it. And then if when it comes time for doing any of the vision stuff where we need to be able to look at an image, translate it into text, we could have a separate model handling that.
Oh yeah,
Um,
I'm fine with that. It's just I'd like to, whenever possible, make it so if you have the hardware, like
yep,
it may require some beefy hardware to
yep,
do it, but if you have the hardware, you can run BrainDrive locally without an internet connection, no cloud, and you can do everything. All the basic functionality of BrainDrive works.
yep. I completely agree on that one.
Yeah, but we
Um,
want to get it working first.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it has to pass the smell test so far
Yes.
and moving forward. And the interesting things about AI models, and it's like you don't read about this enough. As I sent Dave an email, is because Katie was using Dave's financial documentation. One of the things that initially, and this caused problems, but it was funny in the fact of it was like, does Katie know as Dave as her boyfriend that he's also married?
Right. So
And,
I gave Dave some of my financial documents to do testing
yeah,
with, and we're running this Katie Carter
yeah.
persona through it. Well, and that's cool that it picked that up.
I was
That's
about to say
exactly the
this
type
is
of thing that we want
yep.
the brain drive to do, is say, oh, it looks like you're giving me your boyfriend or your husband's documents.
Yep.
Does he know you're doing this? Like
It-
that's great. That's awesome.
exactly. There was you started to see it come alive. That
Right.
was my
Okay.
thing of coming back.
So document processing from your perspective is
Works.
working.
I have not found a single failure point between either your documentation and my fictitious financial
And
world.
that's PDFs and spreadsheets, or what formats?
PDFs, spreadsheets, and images
Okay.
have all went through.
Okay, so I can upload a screenshot now to
Yep.
my BrainDrive if I'm running the BrainDrive model, or just go to Haiku
Yep.
4.5 directly through OpenRouter
Yeah,
or
the only
Anthropic.
part of that I have not tested, or because you said screenshot, I've tested images where it's an image of the actual thing. I haven't taken a picture of my phone yet and said, "Hey, are you going to be able to read this?" and like that. That's
Okay.
kind of coming down the pipeline for testing
All
on
right,
this.
so to me, that's worth releasing.
Yep,
That's a big deal. Okay. Um, all right, and then what was the next? So you need to be able to get the documents in,
yep,
And then what's the next
Now
thing
is
you want to
in
do?
is where the AI starts to shine is the fact of, okay, let's have a budget conversation. What are you trying to accomplish? And it looks at your documentation and actually arrives at a realistic goal for,
Right.
and
So now you're in your finance,
yep,
you've kicked off a finance chat,
yep,
right? It's going to read your finance project, see where things stand. It's a fresh project. This is a fresh brain drive I
yep,
just set up on this computer because I'm doing some video work with it. And I'm gonna say something along the lines of, and this Dave stuff isn't integrated in yet,
yep,
but I want to get a better handle on where all the money is going,
yep.
right?
A lot of them come out of the whole budget thing with, hey, let's get this, sorted. Let's figure out
Right.
what I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a solid starting point.
Yep,
Okay. And it's going to start asking about the income. So it knows, like, okay, how
yep,
much money are we working with here? Blah, blah, blah. And this is all being driven by the system prompt and the agent.md file here, which is within the project. And it's working off of this spec and build plan template to take you through this process just like a financial advisor would. Obviously, disclaimer, disclaimer. This is for about you,
yep.
becoming an expert at this and not just relying on an AI to do it for you. But it's meant to structure that process to help really pull out all the information and thought and expertise that you need to really come up with a good answer here. So,
And I'll pause you right there to demonstrate. This is why I didn't release it too quickly is because well your finance has three documents in it. We went to a more exploded format. The budget's now sitting there. There's now an index sitting there to determine what files are what. So as you said, when it hits the agent file, it'll automatically know what each one of those files are, and I didn't want my mess involved in your testing or
right.
whatever
Because
you
we
were
have
doing.
this interview process working right
Yep.
now without the budget. And so we want to add to this without messing up what we've already done.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I was like, I wasn't too, I was normally I'm pretty push happy and okay, this is working. This is one of those things. It was like, not only do I have to get the code working, but the prompts have to work. And that
Right.
takes iterations over and over and over to make sure that
Right.
it's going to actually pull through. And that's where the test harness came in.
Right. Okay. So as a part of this process, let me set it up for you, Dave.
Yep.
Um, we want to make sure that we have AI tests for every time we make a change to BrainDrive.
Yep.
We want to make sure that we're testing it. We're hopefully you'll test it. The people
Yeah.
that are going to be on this call or are on this call currently, let us know what you think. But we also want to be able to run a lot of automated tests,
Yep.
right? If we can get 95% of the stuff with the automated tests, so when we're coming in and doing the human stuff, which is time consuming, it's just the last 5%. That's kind of our goal. So we need to have a test for this specific feature. And also, we want that to be for everything, right? So
Yep.
we want to be able to test everything we have currently. So when we add this feature, does it mess anything up,
Yep.
right? That we already have, and then does it work well and is it good? And then every time we add a feature, we also want to be so we're upgrading BrainDrive, the code base, and we want to be updating our test harness as
Yep.
well so that it can test. So this is how you do the AI development. Is you have to be very deliberate about setting up your test harness, your evals. People talk about things like this. Yes.
And one of the big differences, if we were doing just functionality code testing, we were done on Thursday.
Right.
We would have been going, but because you're dealing with prompts and that's the intelligence, you never know how it's going to behave from day. It could wake up in a weird mood just like everybody else
Right.
and
Where
read. So,
before you used to say, okay, this is deterministic
yep,
code, and like we're putting the intelligence into the code and it's going to be very deterministic. That's something that's very easy to run an automated test on because it's like, did it do it or did it not?
yep,
Right. As soon as you start getting into LLMs where we're talking about non-deterministic things and we start to get to, okay, is this thing sounding mean? You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, it changed and now it's being very aggressive or it's
yep,
being way too nice and it's not pushing back on anything. These types of much more subjective things, you can't run the traditional test. But the good news is we now have this great intelligence that's
yep,
great at analyzing subjective
yep.
things. So we're testing with the AI, right?
And this is, I think, goes into OpenClaw as I mean, as phenomenal as things like that were and Hermes, they were trying to do the same thing. but they didn't evaluate their test routines. All they did was functionality test. This works. It hits the world, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, this thing does far more than you told me it would." To
Right.
include hand my documentation all over the world.
Right. Or delete
So
all my code base.
exactly. So we wanted to make sure that, and we needed the ability because we're two people. I still want 10 people. I want 20 people testing on this. I want to see each of the situations evolve through the conversations and then a score at the very end to determine did we accomplish the goal set out.
Right. And so, again, by working on this specific use case around budgeting, now we're going to have document processing, which will be much wider use
Yep.
than just the budgeting use case.
Yep.
It'll be used for everything. And we're also going to have Dave has taken over. I vibe coded a test harness, which everybody knows what that means. So Dave took that over and he's making that professional and institutional grade. So we're also getting that test harness. So when Dave says like, "Oh, we didn't put anything into the change log," I'm saying, "Okay, well, there was a ton of work done last
Yeah,
week."
yeah. The change log we have next week will reflect
And
everything, and people.
how close are we to having that test harness where you want it?
Hold on. We can. Let me change and I'll share really quick. That should be the right screen. Boom. We see my screen?
Coming up. Yes.
Okay. This is basically the test harness right now runs at a CLI, and I've done this on purpose because of the fact that when we get beyond this tier, we will not only want to test, but because these changes are prompt driven at this point, we'll also want to be able to handle changes in BrainDrive code to tell it, hey, I want you to update the prompt in finance. I want it to say this now. And then the BrainDrive code will handle that change and let the test harness know, go test. And so we can automate that entire process and really get through. Each test right now runs about 7.5 minutes. And what it does is very simple. It'll sit there and it breaks down everything, cleans the whole slate so it starts off fresh, creates new Docker containers for both the test harness itself and BrainDrive. It clones the code just like a user would because I wanted to take the opportunity to test everything. It'll log in. Once that's downloaded, the Docker containers are running. It will log in or register like a new user. So we will always get the entire auth tested every time we do this. We will set up a provider with an API key. So that always gets tested. And then we will move into finance and the conversation will start. And from here, we will be able to see everything at any moment. So I can still be coding and do whatever I'm doing. And I can watch tests go through. And we can have multiple workers. So if I want to test something specific, this handles all like I said, the opening line. It handles the entire conversation just like a user would. Then it gets to the point of, hey, I have documentation to hand you. It will go through the entire upload process. This is all getting retested every time, so we will feel bulletproof as it hits. And then they have a conversation over what Katie was trying to do with her life. And then the AI will go through that with her and then come up with a budget for her to work with based on her desired outcome and her documentation.
Okay. So is there multiple personalities in here yet or no?
Not yet, because I just rewrote the first one yesterday so I can get out of the garbage in, garbage out. But after this is now working, because I did some tests this morning, and I will develop some other personalities to go with Katie with different finances, different goals in mind. And so that we can really start testing everything and I can get through it very quickly.
Okay. So just stop sharing for a minute,
Yep.
please. All right.
Oh, there we go.
So I'm hoping that we can have one test harness
Mhm.
that will test anything. So if
Mhm.
I go in and make a change to the health thing, it
Yep.
tests that,
Yes.
right? Okay. And I know that we may have to add more specific instructions
Yep.
to get the result that we're looking for, but I want to start whenever possible broadly.
Yep.
Okay. So I don't think we should tell. I think I think we should have three personalities. Okay.
Yep.
And we came up with those three
Yep.
personalities, or I did in my vibe coded version of this.
Yep.
And I forget exactly what it was, but there was one that you kind of had to pull the information out of the person. They
Oh,
weren't being super
yep.
forthcoming with the interview
Yep.
process. Okay. Then there was another that was like dumping everything, a page of, they're very
Text.
verbose,
Yep.
right? And then there was someone that was in the middle,
Yep.
right? And I think that or those types of personalities as a starting point are good, and we can further develop that and add more
Yep.
types of personalities
Yep.
in general. Okay.
I'll tell you from the standpoint of this one, Katie, as she stands, this is a non-hard coded. This is when the AI starts up on both sides, Katie's AI and BrainDrive's AI, they figured it out on their own.
Okay, but how much instruction is given about who Katie is and what she's concerned about and that type of thing?
She has a personality prompt, and that's it.
There's
From
nothing
the
in there about I'm concerned about credit
Nope,
card debt or I
nope,
need to
nope.
create a
It
budget.
changes each time that I'm watching
Perfect.
this test.
That's what we want.
Yeah,
And that will allow us to, and there may be multiple levels of this, right?
yeah,
So there's like the three personalities that are general, and you can run that test harness: fitness, finances, career,
yep.
new project, whatever it is. That's the overall
Yeah,
harness. We don't know anything.
the harness just looks at where we're testing at, the documentation that we're going to be providing, and then from there, the personality prompt of this is who Katie is, so that she can determine what she wants in that moment.
Okay, perfect. Now, uh, when we go to, you know, look at finance specifically,
Yep.
is there anything that needs to be added to that test harness, or like how are we thinking about like, okay, we have the overall test harness now. Now we're working on finance. Does the harness change or what?
Um, okay, for finance, we're right where we are right now with uploading documentation to budgeting. That all works. I don't need to do anything to change. If we change to, let's say we extend that for whatever reason, we will need to only handle whatever the extension is. The rest of it just works. It's coded in there in a format where I can change. So when we go to health, which is next because we've talked to our fitness, sorry. We've talked about that. I already have the login handled. I already have the uploading handled. I just need to tell it what documentation are going to be provided. And we just need to establish that we're in the health or the fitness section. And then Katie will take over from there.
Okay.
And if, like, let's say in the fitness one, if blood work's included, which
How is and for the
yeah.
finance
Oh.
one, how is the test harness going to judge whether it does a good job or not?
Right now, it is a pretty open to a higher AI, judge AI. How would you evaluate this? I haven't
What
got
is this?
this conversation, the entire
And what is it
conversation,
using to evaluate this conversation?
the entire log of how it went. It is all, oh,
Okay. So to me, the spec,
yep.
okay, is the did we climb this mountain or not?
And that's
Did
why hold on. That's why you don't have this yet, is because I just got all this working,
okay,
and
fine.
now the rubrics of did we have a good
The
conversation or
spec,
not?
right? So
Yep.
we're not giving the test harness like this is what we're not programming into the test harness.
Oh no,
This is what good looks like. We're
no.
saying when you evaluate a specific project page,
Yep.
did the interview process go through the spec or not? Right?
Yep.
Did it hit the spec? Basically,
Yeah, it evaluates A for B afterwards. We're
right.
not going,
And if
we're
it
trying to.
didn't, there's two possible things.
Yep.
Or if it's not good at the end of that
Yep.
process, there's two possible reasons. One is the AI did not do a good job following the spec. The other is the spec is bad.
Or three, the harness is bad.
I see. Okay. Well, I would put that in. Yeah. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's
Fine.
why I say this is tier one. When I
All
get
right. So
to
how
tier,
close are we to you having something that you're going to run through yourself and be like, I think this is good?
I need to make sure that that end rubrics is actually right now, because if it's working the way I want it to work and the actual scores that are coming through are legit, then I'm happy.
Okay.
I need
So,
to make sure that I'm happy though. That's
okay. And how long is that going to take?
I could be done by the end of the day because
Okay.
I'm now able to run my tests like every seven
So
minutes.
you're
Like,
getting close.
oh yeah, yep,
And once you're done with this, we have a good V1 of document processing,
yep,
a good V1 of the test harness,
yes,
and a good V1 of the budgeting process.
correct.
And these three things should make us faster on the next use case.
Oh yeah,
because
because
that's
now,
going to be the key, right? It's like, it's fine if this one takes 2 weeks.
yep,
The next one should take a week. The next one should take a day. The next one should take 15 minutes.
yeah, because we're beyond the first head test harness that I did last week. It was good for what I was doing, but it wasn't good for getting good intel coming in and valuating.
Fine.
And that's where we're at now.
All right. So, I just, I thought a little bit about like just thinking about like what are the different variables and levels that we can pull here,
Yep.
right? And this is not a final document by any stretch, but just like brainstorm notes.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing that we have in terms of a variable to mess with, and probably the most powerful thing, is the model,
Yep.
right? A great model is going to do great things,
Yep.
and a terrible model, it doesn't matter how good the rest of this is, it's not going to do it.
Yep.
Right. So I would refer to this as like level one, right? Is the model. Everything is kind of an optimization from this, right? This is the brain, right?
Yes.
Okay. So level two, and this is the unlock for everything, right? Like without this, we're just back to coding software the way
Yep.
that we've always coded it. And with this, we don't need a lot of code. Like it's
Yep.
really that. It's a different paradigm basically because of this, right? You can separate the intelligence from the software application.
Very quickly and easily.
Okay. Now, level two is we have the interface and the system prompt.
Yep.
Okay. So this is, the system prompt is what we would normally think of as intelligence, but the interface is kind of a form of intelligence because you're showing the BrainDrive owner something and it's going to elicit specific types of actions, right? And there's also, if we have a finance page, it's going to be easier to get finance going and that type of stuff because there's intelligence that's bundled in with that.
And I label interface as context because it really won't matter where it's coming from. It could be an email. But
Right.
At the end of the day, that interface is context of what we're doing now.
Right. Okay. So I would refer to this as kind of level two.
Yep.
Right. Okay. Then level three is where we start to get into modifications.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this would be the owner profile that's global, right? This is what the BrainDrive is learning about its owner. This is the BrainDrive plus one agent.md, and BrainDrive plus one is the global assistant that's designed to work across all pages, right?
Yep.
And this is the other BrainDrive plus one files, whether they're there or not currently. There may be in the future that we could associate in addition to an agent.md. Maybe BrainDrive plus one has some additional files that it's using to know what to do, right?
Yep.
Okay. Then level four is the page specific agent.md spec and build plan.
Yep.
Right. So each one of these levels and then each thing within the level is a point of optimization, basically. Right.
Yep.
And then level five is page specific use case example. So this would be a to-do list, a budget, blood work analysis, your relationship journal, your workouts, like these would be this page specific use cases, right? Does this all look right to you?
No, I'm good with this.
Okay, now
it makes sense.
The further we get down here, and maybe there's a level 6 eventually and blah, blah, blah. To me, the more deterministic and specific we can get with our instructions, right?
Yep.
So we do not want to put a lot of instruction here in the system prompt because that is going to make the system very brittle, right?
Yes.
It's going to have to follow these instructions across anything it does. So we do not want this to be, we don't want a lot here.
Yeah.
Right. And it should be relevant to every single conversation. So like, this is like this is what BrainDrive is, and this is what you're here to do, and here's the initial tools you have access to, or something like that, right?
Yep.
Very small, right? Then when we get down here, also, we do not want a ton of information here. So should just be things like Dave's 47 years old. He's married with 2 kids. He
Yep.
has this business called BrainDrive. He lives in Cranford, New Jersey. A few, like, just not a ton of stuff here,
Yep.
right? Um,
Again, a different level, but that's the stuff that every project, everything might need to know about. So it needs to be, but it's not the same level as a system problem.
Correct. And it also this changes rarely. This changes regularly,
Yeah.
but not super regularly.
You'll have a 9 month
Especially
warning
once
if
you're
you have
set
another
up.
kid.
Once you've gone through. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So then, level 4, around these specific pages, right? What is happening? We can be more detailed,
Yep.
In this. And then here we can get really detailed. Like when you're doing a to-do list, this is the format,
Yep.
right? It's date, it's priority, it's this, you know what I mean? And the instructions could be very specific here. I think we could even potentially have code here, you know what I mean? If we wanted things to be very deterministic, right? But
Yep.
we never want code up here in this
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yep.
So, and that keeps the system very, because this is a personal AI system
Yep.
is what we're looking to build here. So it needs to be very general, but then be able to do very specific things. And I think this is how we do it.
No, I have no issue with this, and that's pretty much how with the doing the budget part of the finance, that's how it followed through. It's like only till you get to the, hey, I'm doing a budget, all of a sudden that part comes alive.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, great. Sounds like we're on the same page. All
Yep.
right. So for this week, it's finishing up the budgeting, which is also document processing and the test harness, which will
Yep.
allow us to accelerate going
Yep. Because
forward.
we'll move right into fitness, and the only thing we're doing for fitness is the prompt work because the test harness is there now. We have the uploading part is all there now, so it's like, hey, we just moved.
Okay. So one question for you before we switch over to my stuff, unless there's anything else you want to talk about, is I need a brain drive. I need 2 things. I need a brain drive that I can reset constantly because I want to see what it looks like for a fresh brain drive owner to come in that's new to the system.
Yep.
But now I want my brain drive because I want to use this budgeting and fitness and all that. And I want that to persist and I'm not erasing it constantly. So I would prefer, before I was going to use a host for this, but because Dave released the new installers and made it so easy, I kind of want to run it locally now, both of them.
I say, theoretically, I haven't tested this, okay, but it should work. You could have your dev copy, which you scrap, you blow away every 3 seconds, and it works like that. Then grab the desktop installer, install that one, and those, if memory serves me, they're on different ports.
But I won't be able to access my desktop app right now from mobile, right? Even via Tailscale?
Correct. Oh, wait, hold on. No, you can't even do Tailscale because it's a desktop app.
And there is no dev version of the desktop app, right? I have to.
No, hold on, because you could use the local installer to install it, so it wouldn't be the desktop version. So remember how we used to install with Docker?
Yes.
Okay, there should be a local install.
Well,
I'll take a look at it like that, but there should be a way so you can use the local image, and it's a local install, which is different than the dev install.
Oh, and I can still use the desktop app.
Yep.
Well, I was maybe going to flip it, right?
Okay.
I want to be able to use it from my phone. We're going to have a mobile app in the near future. We don't right now, but I can Tailscale in if I'm running the Docker version because it runs in the browser.
Exactly.
So I was going to use that as my personal brain drive so I can use it on mobile.
Yep.
And then
the difference is you would install the local.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yep. Okay.
I'm just saying, and then I would use the desktop app as the one I'm wiping constantly.
You could do okay,
but then I won't get the dev changes. That's the problem.
So that's why I said you install the local version, which uses the browser. and you install the dev version, which uses the browser.
I
But
see. So
they're
I
on
have
different
two
port.
browser. I have the
Yep.
Docker and then I have the dev version. I'm
Yep.
wiping the dev version constantly and I'm not wiping this one over here. And they're running
Correct.
on two different ports. So it's like two different brain drives, two different libraries, everything.
Correct. And you can go in the INI if it's just in case it's not done already, but this should be done where they'll both be on separate mount points. So your persistent data will not be the same.
Okay, so I think what I'm going to do then is I'm going to have a browser-based local version for myself that I
Yep.
keep persistent.
Yep.
I'm going to have a browser-based version of the dev so I can test your branches and stuff.
Yep.
And then every Monday I'll wipe the desktop app version and go in and test that out a little bit. So that'll be my like, okay, we just launched this.
Let's see.
Now
Yep.
let's make sure it's all working on the desktop app.
Exactly. That works because now,
Makes
because
sense.
with a testing harness, this is what I plan to do is to be able to test before anybody else sees it, the entire update procedure to make sure that prompts are updating and stuff
Right.
like that. So it's like I expect to use the harness
Right,
for
because
quite a
that's oh yeah, I forgot to ask you about that because there's the test harness for
Yep.
like this is a new brain drive owner who doesn't have anything in their
Yep.
brain drive and we've made these changes, but now we also need okay, this is an
Exactly.
existing brain drive owner, we've added this new capability. How does it handle that?
That's why I wanted that moment to redo this test harness because I was like,
I
this
mean,
could be
to me, this is like a lot, all of this is going to allow us to accelerate
this is
without
going to be plus
sacrificing
25
quality.
employees right here.
Yeah,
Actually, this is going to give us better quality because
yes.
it's like we just press, like you've seen, I press a button and it starts testing X. So all
Right.
I do is go.
Okay. All right. So anything else from your end before I talk about my stuff?
Nope, that should be good for me.
Okay. So way back when Dave and I got together, we were building on Open Web UI, which is
Yep.
probably the most popular user-owned AI system right now. It's an interface. And we love Open Web UI.
Yep.
We view them team open source on the same team. But the reason why we decided to do BrainDrive is we really wanted to have a system that we weren't locked in, obviously, to a big tech AI system like ChatGPT, but also that we weren't locked into a specific tech stack for our own development. And also we wanted to give people a system that they weren't sort of participating in someone else's vision of what user-owned AI should be. They had a system that allowed them to make their user-owned AI system whatever they wanted it to be.
Yep.
So every individual. So we moved off Open Web UI at the time, and we had a pretty successful YouTube channel called Digital Brainbase. We had, hundreds of thousands of views on that YouTube channel and thousands of subscribers, and that sort of continued to grow even though we stopped publishing on it. So one of the things we've been waiting for is to have BrainDrive in a good enough scenario that we're like, okay, let's switch the Digital Brainbase channel over and to the new stuff, and let's see if we get any traction on that. But at the same time, we also want to have a BrainDrive YouTube channel
Yep.
that is just BrainDrive focused and is BrainDrive branded. Okay, so what we decided was the BrainDrive is built on the personal AI architecture, which is an open architecture for building personal AI systems.
Yep.
It's awesome. You should check it out. And we would just publish the personal AI architecture content on the old Digital Brainbase channel, which is being rebranded as Personal AI Architecture. And we would start publishing more use case type content over on BrainDrive. And really, unless the Personal AI Architecture content kind of takes off, we're
Yep.
just going to focus on BrainDrive because we're a small team and like that's what that's what we're excited about here is BrainDrive. And also BrainDrive is built on the Personal AI architecture and it's also MIT licensed. So it's like the best of both worlds, right? So, but we had this YouTube channel and I'm like, let's put out some videos and just see
Yep.
if we catch fire. And the answer to that, unfortunately, is we have not caught fire. In fact, surprisingly to me, but whatever, is giving away this architecture, having a free course on it, and having BrainDrive got less attention than way less stuff, that people are posting about in those communities. But I believe everything kind of happens for a reason.
Yep.
And like, I'm excited to start putting out BrainDrive content. That's where we know the long term of this is. And because we now have the desktop app, Katie can use BrainDrive. Now, will it be better? Will she need a mobile app and all
Yep.
that? Absolutely.
Yep.
But the desktop app that Dave built took us from Not really for Katie because
Yep.
Docker and all that is just as soon as they hear that in terminal to like now it's download and go just like any other app.
Yep.
So that is going to allow me to create video content for Katie. And that's like, we're here for like, we want everyone to have their own AI system. So, I did, I put up the video course I rebranded the whole YouTube channel. So it's there now. And maybe probably after this call, it will catch fire. But, let me see if I can get this up here. So here's personal AI architecture.
Yep.
We have that channel. I have the new course now, the playlist. And so you go here, and this also helped me get all my thumbnail stuff
Yep.
going and my whole process. And we've got this course. And I added it to the end. I added the playlist to the end of all of the videos that we have. And we have gotten some views. So there's not nothing, but
Yep.
it's just, to me, it's just not worth trying to. I think we could get this off the ground, but like, let's work on BrainDrive,
Yep.
basically, is my thing.
And
And
like
this,
you said, if all of a sudden a video pops up to 1,000 overnight and all like that, it would take nothing for us to go, hey, this isn't dead. This is where we're moving to,
yeah,
and we can build little medium pieces to bridge them from
exactly.
an open architecture to BrainDrive.
Right. So that's done and rebranded and there it is and that channel's available to us, but like now this week instead of just trying to promote personal AI architecture when I got like zero off of the posts I did about it, I'm just like, let's just do BrainDrive. That's
Yep.
what we're excited about. That's and I'm putting together my process for. I found that this. I don't know if you've ever heard of Remotion, but it's like a dev platform for creating videos that like does code and React. It looks super cool, and now I can actually use it because Descript is like awesome if you want to spend a lot of time doing manual editing. But like, I want to just tell Claude to do it. You know what I mean? And have
Yep.
Claude do it, and eventually tell BrainDrive to do it, obviously, and have BrainDrive do it. So I'm gonna create. So I redid over the weekend, like I repositioned, hopefully for the last time, the website. I mean, I think it is like we've been talking about Katie the whole time. So
Yep.
now here it is. It's own your AI, your life, your data, your brain drive. And I know that Katie isn't necessarily thinking own your AI, but like this does resonate with the Katies when I talk to them. And also like I view this as like just do it. You know what
Yep.
I mean? It's like this is what we want to be known for, right?
Yep.
Is own your AI. And I think this your life, your data, your brain drive, like this, don't want to give their data over. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So this is that I'm going to work on this screenshot, but one brain drive for your whole life, career, finance, health, and everything else. Here's how it works. It's the same three, your life, your data, your brain drive, and then bam, install it. You go right to the install page. Boom, you're there. Rework the about page around this. We believe the power of AI should belong to you. It's all about owning your AI system and the same, stuff we've been talking about forever. So that's the website's now reworked for that. I'm going to put a product video here. I'm going to create like a 60 to 90 second max walkthrough of BrainDrive. You're going to come here. So you'll see the screenshot. And then if you want to watch it, you can click on the button and you can see BrainDrive in
I
action.
had a different thought there. It just
Okay.
and whichever worked, but I was like, as soon as I seen that, so one thing that's missing is like seeing it in action. So it was like this would be like the install, and it would say installed, and then the next one would be 1 month later, and it would show like the screen there. You have different projects starting to grow. 6 months later, you have 16 projects. It's like it
So
look
how would you envision that on the website?
just it would be a GIF where it would be, and if you can use Remotion, it's funny. We both looked at the same website this week. It
Oh, is
would be
that
like,
true?
yeah, exactly. Because when you said it, I was like, wait a minute, is
Does it
that the
look
one I?
good? It
Yeah,
seems like it's what I'm saying, right? Where it's going to allow us to really get detailed in terms of what we
yep,
can do with motion and because brain drives also react front end,
yep,
right?
yep, exactly. It would allow us to do that same thing. I had to save when I seen that. I was like, we could use that, and I knew that when I went to Google and I said, have I seen that view recently? Oh, I have.
Nice.
But basically, it would just be screenshots of and flipping of, hey, brain drive installed, brain drive 1 month, and when if somebody
I love
starts to
that.
see, it's like that's the evolution that they could have in their life.
I love that. Love it. All right, so I'll see what I can do with
Yep,
that. But also a lot of the stuff that we want to happen after that first month, like we have
yep,
to build out and stuff.
yep,
So like I also don't want to like overpromise,
yep.
of
Fake it
what
till
we
you make
have.
it.
right now. Yeah. Well, yeah. So we want people to, I think we have a lot for people to
Yep.
like and be impressed with right now. And so I think we can be honest about things like we
Yeah.
don't have a mobile app right now, but we're
Yep.
going to in the future and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I think
So
we have that even like the next two or three things on my list is
yes,
a thin client
100%,
for the mobile. Yep.
100%. And just now that we can just focus in on BrainDrive, like we don't need to worry about all the Adam Carter, which is our technical
Yep.
persona stuff now. Like we can just really just dial our where if the personal AI architecture was kind of taken off, we have to just like build that stuff into the so it's just like let's focus on
Yep.
what we have right now, which I think is really exciting for Katie. Like that's our persona. And with the desktop installers, we at least have her going from 0 to 1
Yep.
on that, which is exciting. All right, so I'm all in on, and I'm in the flow now. Like my first video in that series is like, oh man, I watched it. I'm like, I'm falling asleep. Last one's better, still not great. So I'm like,
Yep.
I'm getting some momentum with the video stuff, so I want to keep that going, and I'm all content all the time now, which I like, and that's my thing. So that's that. Um, I think that's it. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Nope. That's good for me. We have a fun week because like next week we'll have some stuff to show off finally.
Sounds good. All right. As we talked about at the beginning of the call, our mission here at BrainDrive is to build a superior user owned alternative to big tech AI systems. We do these dev calls every Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, live stream on the BrainDrive YouTube channel, and we post the recordings when they're done processing over at our community forums at community.braindrive.ai. We'd love it if you'd participate in either place, and we'll see you next week.
Have a good one.